Copilot can summarize a meeting, draft an email, or answer a question about a policy memo. So the next question is obvious: where did it get that information and what stops it from seeing too much? In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the Copilot request flow like a security architect would, so you can explain it clearly to leadership, auditors, and your own team. And I'll call out what's different or what you should validate when you're operating in GCC, GCC High, or DoD. First, Copilot is an enterprise service experience in Microsoft 365. It's not a public chatbot where you paste sensitive data and hope for the best. Every Copilot interaction starts with the user's identity in Microsoft Entra ID. That matters because the user's session context still matters, too. If you require MFA, if you require a compliant device, if you restrict access based on sign-in risk or location, those conditional access requirements can still apply to the user who's using Copilot. And here's the key government framing: in GCC, GCC High, and DoD, the same first gate applies. Copilot operates under your tenant's identity and policy enforcement. It doesn't bypass your conditional access posture. Now let's get to the most important rule in the entire Copilot security model. Copilot can't see data you can't see. Copilot uses the same permission model you already rely on across Microsoft 365. That means if you don't have permission to open a SharePoint or OneDrive file, Copilot can't read it for you. If you don't have access to a Teams team, channel, or meeting content, Copilot can't pull that content into an answer. So why do security teams still worry, and why is that worry reasonable? Because even when access doesn't change, discovery changes. AI can surface overshared content much faster than a human could search. And Copilot can connect information across places users don't normally look. So in practice, your biggest Copilot security project often isn't a new firewall rule. It's permission hygiene and information governance. Next is grounding. Grounding means Copilot retrieves relevant content from your tenant to use as context before it generates an answer. This is also where you want to avoid a common misconception. Copilot isn't reading everything you have. It's using Microsoft 365 retrieval capabilities, including semantic index for Copilot, to identify relevant items quickly. And the retrieval process is still permission trimmed. Copilot only retrieves content the current user is allowed to access. In many Copilot experiences, you'll also see references or citations. That's important for security and governance because it gives the user and your reviewers a way to verify what content was used. After Copilot has your prompt and the relevant grounding context, it uses large language models to generate a response. The key point for a security review is that Copilot is designed to operate within Microsoft's enterprise service boundary for your tenant. And Microsoft's documentation states that prompts and responses are not used to train the underlying foundation models. For an ATO story, this is the section where you document data handling clearly, what content is retrieved for grounding, what's transient processing, and what signals you retain through audit and compliance tooling. Now, let's make this practical. If you're running a pilot in a government environment, here are the controls I recommend validating first. Start with identity and session controls, conditional access and MFA. Confirm who can use Copilot, and from what devices and locations. Then validate data governance controls, sensitivity labels and encryption, DLP policies, and your retention and e-discovery posture. And finally, validate monitoring and accountability. Confirm unified audit logging coverage and identify the specific Copilot-related events your agency needs to retain and review. A good pilot test is simple. Pick a few users across roles. Confirm what Copilot can retrieve. Confirm how citations appear in the experience you're enabling. And validate how labels and DLP affect outputs. Here's the one-sentence explanation you can reuse in a security briefing. Copilot runs inside Microsoft 365 under the user's identity, respects existing permissions, retrieves only permission-trimmed content for grounding, and generates responses protected by the same security and compliance controls you already enforce in your tenant. Next up in this guide, we'll go deeper on data residency, the permissions model, and the governance controls you'll lean on day to day.